What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Areas in the Nation, and I have a very, very, very special guest on the channel today, Luke from LJR. I always
Yeah, either one's good.
I'm getting like messed up in my interest. Like Luke from no, you are LJR. So
Yep,
it's
yep.
like, yeah. Before we start, thank you so much for just giving me your time and jumping on this little talk we have here. Um,
Yeah, man.
bef-
Thanks for having me.
Before we get too far in it, guys, remember all of Luke's links are in the description. Okay, that is that magical place underneath YouTube videos that people don't know. It's like pretty much like Atlantis. People don't understand what a description is, but it's there. There's tons of links, so check out the description. I'm going to be putting all of his social links, all anything that you have. I'm going to put out there. Okay.
Awesome. Thanks, dude.
So with that being said, man, hey, listen, guys, I'm from the DMV area, and Mr. Luke right here is residing in the DMV area. So this is a perfect scenario for me. I love spotlighting the locals because we have them. We have local talent that's absolutely phenomenal. And that's why I was like, I'm going to reach out and we're going to get them on. I wanted to. Um, Real quick about yourself, bro. And I'm not going to try to just steal the mic the whole time. Don't worry. I'm going to give you time to.
Well, I'll have my long little monologues that I go on.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Um, how before we how do I get this? Like let's just ease into this real quick. How long have you been in the scene? Are you a born and raised in the DMV?
Yep.
Like all your life? Just
Yep.
this is your area of operation?
Yep. This is it. I grew up in Laurel, Maryland.
Okay.
So I had some friends in Damascus,
Yep.
where you're
Yep.
from.
Yep. Not Syria, folks. Not Syria. No, no,
That's right.
here.
um, yeah. So I grew up in Laurel. I went to UMBC for undergrad. I studied mechanical engineering there in the
Nice.
Meyerhoff Scholar Program, Scholars Program, and then I went to College Park for grad school.
Okay.
I thought for a long time that I was going to do the engineering thing, and I was actually going for my PhD down there, and I was working on autonomous robotic birds that would be able to fly themselves around and do flips and dives on their own,
Cool.
which is super cool, but like
Yeah.
not really what made me come alive. And so I eventually, once I got it really working, I was about 4 years in. I was actually almost done. I probably had 1 year left of the PhD program, and I realized that I wasn't living my life for things that mattered to me. It was more making choices for other people and doing things that my parents really wanted, or that I kind of felt my community expected of me, and I needed to really branch out and figure out who I was. And the first step in doing that is to not preserve all of your options, right? And
Mhm.
so you have to choose to sacrifice things that do have value to try to go on a journey, right? And
Yeah.
so the main thing that had a lot of value, although I think to me it didn't have as much value outside of the sense that it gave me a feeling of like, oh, my parents and family and community like really respect what I'm doing. The first thing was the PhD, and I knew that it wasn't making me happy. I just found myself getting more angry and depressed, even as I got the thing really working. Like that was the thing that told me when I finally got it to fly around by itself and
Mhm.
navigate to different areas and everything, and do like flips and dives. My response wasn't, "Oh my God, this is awesome. This is what I was put here to do." It wasn't that. It was like, finally, and now like I guess I can get on to the next thing. And it just wasn't the life that I wanted. And when I thought about doing engineering stuff, it was those moments that were like what were going to be the thing for me. I thought I wanted to
Mhm.
make cool robots and stuff like that that did fun things. And it just wasn't bringing me the life that I wanted. So I decided to switch into um well, the way I kind of share this story, which is it's the most like clear way to tell the story. I was essentially listening to this podcast that was called The Strategic Entrepreneur,
Mhm.
and they had this quote at the end, and they would always say like, "Don't ask what the world needs, ask what makes you come alive, because what the world needs are more people who've come alive."
Yep. Oh,
And I thought that was really
that's a good
powerful,
one.
you know?
Yeah.
And I was thinking like, okay, well, what makes me come alive? And that was creating meaningful art. It was empowering people and building meaningful relationships. So whatever I did personally or professionally, I just needed it to fit into one of those three categories.
Mhm.
And my main art form for my whole life had been music. So I've been playing drums since I was 5, singing since about, 7th grade, playing some piano, writing songs. And I played in a band with my brothers, played in church, growing up, all that kind of stuff. And it was my main art form, my main sort of way to express. And so I knew, like, let me just lean into that. And as I did that, I started to get um, more connection with. Well, I started to make more covers on my YouTube channel because the artists that I really liked on YouTube were crushing it, like Boyce Avenue, Tyler Ward, Sam Tsai, people like that. And they were like getting millions of subscribers, stuff like that. And they were a little bit, they probably were bigger when I was in college.
Mhm.
It took me a while to really kind of full on commit to this because I started the YouTube channel probably about 10 years ago, maybe a little bit more.
Yeah,
And it
about
was
15.
okay. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, hey, the only reason I know is because I was like, hey, what I always do that because I'm on
Yeah,
this side
yeah.
of things. I'm like, what's your first, and
Yeah, yeah.
what's your now, and then it because it shows growth from your
Yeah, I wonder
very
what
first to
the
your
first
latest.
I guess the first one I did was either no, it wasn't Gone, Gone, Gone. I think it was, Her Heart's Lips Have Kissed My Soul is original. If that's right, that would've been 2009. So that would've been like 20 it would've been 16 years, I guess, almost at this point,
Wow.
which is crazy. I wasn't a consistent uploader at all, and I'd done a couple of videos on my YouTube channel that were just, like, during grad school, and this was
Hmm.
before I, like, decided to, like, take it seriously or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
And, so I started doing covers more seriously around 24, and that was about 11 years ago for me.
Hmm.
And then I just started doing more and more and tried to get more consistent, built up actually a pretty good following, but then I just like fell off the bandwagon. But that's when I kind of learned how to do some video stuff as well because I needed to, have cool
Yeah.
video for my YouTube channel because I figured nobody would watch without it. And that turned into like people liking my videos and offering to pay me to make videos for them. And that turned into a nice little video production company that was all focused on the music that I wanted to do. So now I started to get paid to make stuff that I liked and network with people that I would want to be connected to for my music.
That's a
And so,
win-win.
yeah, so over time, I kind of tuned that such that I was doing specifically what I really wanted, which was like concert video stuff and
Hmm.
live in studio. So I'd really connect to the best live performers around and the people that needed, live performance footage to do, better gigs and stuff like that. And that's worked really well to slowly build my network and to use that money that comes in to pay for expenses and to fund my music.
Yeah. Did your background in engineering play a big part in the what did you call it? Audio engineering? Like the behind the scenes, like the did that play a part at all? Did it like, oh man, I have this like skill set. Is there a lot of bleed over? Because like I
Yeah,
feel like
so
for me
there's
that's like intimidating. I hate
yeah, yeah.
robots at all costs. That's me though. That's me. So you're in that. But
Yeah, so the audio engineering, I mean, basically anything technical,
mhm,
you can learn it if I feel like I can learn if I put my mind to it because of the main skill that I feel like I got out of the PhD program, which was becoming comfortable feeling really stupid for a really long time until it worked,
yeah. Okay.
Like that's a really valuable skill. I think it's highly underrated as
Mhm,
something that can contribute immensely to your life.
mhm.
Because if you want to become something, a lot of what you experience first in the wouldn't it be awesome to, I don't know, become an astronaut is like there's this magnitude of stuff I'd have to learn, and I don't know how I'm going to do all that. And the first thing you feel oftentimes is self doubt,
Yeah.
right? Or fear. And so you got to be able to overcome that. And so if you're willing to stay in that space where you feel like you're not going to be successful and you just choose to keep doing the next thing anyway, then eventually you can make more progress towards your goals.
Yeah.
And that's been really valuable. On top of just like being used to more technical stuff and technical thinking, like systematic thinking, it's been very helpful for becoming good at video stuff. any other technical aspect like audio engineering. I don't do my own audio engineering. I record this stuff, but then I send it to somebody else to mix. So
Got it.
there's the technical aspect of recording that I'm pretty good at now and like tracking, but I'm not mixing things to like a final level or mastering. I
Gotcha.
definitely choose to have somebody else do that, and I think that's a really important thing to do.
Is it because like you don't want to be like too close to it? You'd rather have an outside ear, kind of
It
like
that's a good reason to do it. My main reason is because you can try to learn everything that there is to learn in the music world, and then you will never go anywhere because you're
yeah,
never gonna actually get good enough at the one thing that you need to do to be an artist, unless you get really lucky. And most people are not going to be in that situation.
yeah.
I also just didn't want to learn audio engineering. So, I would try to learn all the business stuff, all the marketing stuff, and then all the video stuff, and then just make the songs. And just doing that is so much that it's, to add on the audio engineering right now, it's worth it to pay somebody, for that.
I
But eventually, maybe I'll start doing more of my own mixing, but we'll see. Probably not.
I feel like it's definitely a needed skill. Like you touched on it. Like we didn't really talk about it, but like to have that business mindset as an up and coming artist is, I think that's very important. Like yes, you can have the skill, the talent, but you got to have that. I feel like you got to have that business mindset to propel yourself forward, to give you that edge over competition. Because listen, I know loads of artists that lack that, and
Yeah.
got hurt because of that. The
Yeah.
business savvy. I wish it was like, I wish it went hand in hand. It was like just the art. You just have to be good enough to be awesome, and then that's it. That's all it takes. But no, you got to have
Yeah.
that. You have to have that go get it business attitude as
Yeah.
well. Like especially, I feel like when your market is smaller, when you're starting out, like you got
Mhm.
to be that hunger. You have to make smart business decisions to grow. Um,
Yeah.
if not, you're just gonna be at the local bars for the rest of your life. You know?
Yeah. I think there's a couple keys. I mean, knowing the business stuff is definitely helpful, and it is really important for when you get the opportunities.
Yeah,
The most important thing is definitely creating the opportunities
yeah,
first. Like, I'll be the first to admit, I've spent so much time learning all this other stuff, and none of that other stuff actually matters unless you get the opportunities, right?
hmm,
Like, if you learn all the contracts and copyright stuff and protect all your music and you spent your whole life doing that, as opposed to actually getting your music in front
yeah,
of the right people, building a fan base, like you're nowhere, right? And nobody wants to be in that position. It'd be much better if you didn't protect any of your music and somebody did steal your song and you got fans because that person stole your song and found out it was you,
yeah.
right? Like,
But
that would
that'd
be
be
a much
nice.
better
That'd
thing.
be nice. Yeah, I'd be
Yeah.
like, all right, cool, let's
Right,
do
but
it.
people don't look at that way, and this is
No.
where I think that the fear becomes such a major driver. And I've had so much fear. I'm talking as somebody that not I don't see myself as above this. I see myself as somebody who has made bad decisions because of fear in my life in
Mhm.
a lot of ways, and I've sought to overcome that so that I don't follow that same pattern, you know?
Yeah,
Um, so, I think it's important to do the business stuff, but the more important thing is to make sure that you are building real community and that you're offering something that's truly uniquely different. And I'll be honest, most artists are not actually offering something that's truly uniquely different, again, because of fear,
hmm,
right? Because they don't a lot of it's one of the most difficult things in life, I think, for most people is to really discover and become comfortable in who you are
hmm.
and to live that out,
Oh yeah.
because that usually means a massive change in your community, in your, friendships, and in your life, sometimes your career. And
Hmm.
that's so much uncertainty that it's difficult for most people to even fathom that possibility. Um, and so as an artist, you really have to be willing to give up a lot of stuff to do that. And there's already a lot of imposter syndrome around, are you going to be able to make it? And so it's really difficult to do that. But you're also supposed to put all your heart out there for people to see, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of challenges that kind of make that difficult. But if you can do that, then you've got a shot.
Hmm.
But then if you if you've got to also be different in terms of how you present yourself
Your
online
image.
and to shows.
Yeah, your image, kind of
Yeah,
thing.
your image, but also like if you're going to play a concert, let's say that you're on a band with 5 bills, right?
Mhm.
Who's coming to that show? Nobody is looking at that poster and going, "Oh wow, there's 5 bands playing tonight. I wonder if any of them are going to be good. Let me spend my night going to this show." If they've never heard of you and nobody's talking about you, nobody's going to go
Yeah.
to that show, right?
Yeah.
Um, because they assume it's shitty local bands, right? That are just, trying to make stuff happen and everything. And I have nothing against that. I'm not saying that my show is like somehow way better by saying this either. I just think the truth of the matter is people aren't truly doing something unique with the opportunities that they do have, right?
Yeah.
And the bar is actually very low, in my opinion, to do something unique because you can do so much with what's online on YouTube. Like it's very easy to create a very low cost DIY light show that's synced up to your songs.
Mhm. Yeah.
And that's, already that is like massively above. It puts you so far above, and people will automatically not think of you as a local band anymore simply because you've got a light show and it's synced up and they're not used to seeing that, right?
Yeah.
There's free software you can get that if there's a projector or an LED screen, you can actually create graphics that respond to your audio. So you can plug in like your kick drum mic to, control the brightness of the lights. Or you could have like a simple thing, have a microphone point at the audience, you write a part for the audience, and the volume of that microphone controls the brightness of a light fixture on stage,
Yeah.
right?
That's dope. Yeah.
Things you can do that are very
Mhm.
simple that people will remember because no one else is doing anything like that. Everybody is just going up and playing their songs. And there's nothing wrong with that, but you're not going to stand out, especially if you're not like going out into the crowd, you're not getting people involved, you're not looking people in the eye, you're kind of sitting up there, standing there singing your song. And it might sound great, but people aren't looking at you as like, oh, this person is the next rock star, and that's what you want. And you got to be
Yeah.
really kind of ruthlessly honest with yourself about, am I doing that? And not to the point of like, oh, like, am I doing this? No, bad me, like shame yourself.
Mhm.
It's just seeing what is such that you can make the right choice, toward your dreams.
Yeah. It's amazing how I think maybe it's because I'm on this side of things on the YouTube in the YouTube world. It's amazing to see uh the local the local scene. And I don't mean to keep harping on local, but that's just what I'm so comfortable talking about.
Yeah.
Um it's just they don't utilize tools like you said. They don't utilize this platform that much. It's kind of like an afterthought when it could really it has an insane amount of reach if you can harness it the right way.
Yeah.
It's just like, dude, there's only a few that really have jumped on, I would say this platform, YouTube platform,
Yeah.
and ran with it. And what ends up happening is they kind of blow up, but they blow up like kind of everywhere. It's not like locally. It's like they just
Yeah.
have pockets of fans everywhere. And I'm just like, that's it's a free tool to use. And I wish there was a memo to be sent out to the
Yeah.
locals, like, hey, look, man, use it. It's not bad, not terrible. It's great. It's a great platform.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I think artists know that. They have the knowledge. They and a lot of them have tried. They've put up videos and stuff like that and try to put out stuff. I think there's a couple things that make it challenging. The first
mhm,
is for them to release a piece of content, it needs to be like really, really up there in terms of the quality. And
mhm,
most artists don't have the ability to produce that themselves or pay somebody to be able to do that on any sort of regular basis. So
yeah,
that becomes one of the main challenges, especially if you're trying to create music content. Um, I think there's other ways to leverage the platform, but it's so easy to get burnt out as an artist that's, working
yeah,
a full-time job and trying to do the music stuff. And then it's like, and you're already trying to expend all your creative energy, doing just those things. And it'd be hard to launch something else and solve that problem when you're already kind of struggling with this one. You're
sure,
totally right. And there's probably I think there's smart ways to leverage it. Um, even just like this conversation right here that we're having, this is going to be awesome. My
yeah,
music will get in front of a bunch of people, and I'm really grateful, to you for that.
oh yeah,
And
man,
that's a killer thing, right?
yeah,
Um, but that's not, most, even if you tried to actively go out to a lot of local artists in the scene, which if you want, by the way, I work with a ton of them, so I can definitely connect you
Hey,
with a bunch that have
I
killer content.
I will tell you this. My door is open. I broke the locks off this thing a long time ago. So
Yeah.
I'm always open for a talk. Like that's the thing. So yeah,
Yeah.
send them over. But no, like I
Well,
what I'm oh
let
sorry.
me, I'll
Yeah.
finish with with this too on that kind of thought. Then I want to hear what you have to say. The way forward for artists, I think, is to essentially become is to always be learning something new, and you have to be increasing your capacity all the time because the
Yeah.
tools are out there. Like you can learn anything you want to learn now.
Yeah.
So, like, I didn't know how to do video stuff. I didn't know how to do any of the business stuff. There's tons of courses out there that will teach all this stuff. Some of them are free on YouTube. Some of them, you pay for, and a lot of the time, you pay more than you feel like it's worth or whatever. But you learn a lot, and over time, the real cost that you pay for the skills is just higher than you thought it was. But that you still get it, like you still
Yeah.
learn it if you keep going, and that's what matters.
Yeah.
Um, but you just have to just decide a lot of these hard things that I never thought I would.
Stand by. There we go. There we go.
Right.
There he is. There he
And
is.
we're
Don't
back.
worry. You're
I
good.
don't
I
know.
was like, we're getting into it. And all of a sudden, I was like, and we're gone. It's okay. It's
Yeah.
okay. Don't worry, man. We can. I have the knowledge. I can edit things.
Perfect. Perfect. Yeah. So no one's coming to save you as an artist, and so
Mhm.
you have to build these skills. And the good news is you can do it. Like all the information is out there, and technically it's out there for free if you're willing to do the work on YouTube.
Mhm.
And if you got a little bit of money, you can shortcut some things with some great courses. I mean, I even teach a course now showing people how to use their iPhone and two cheap, like $30 lights from, Amazon, that are battery powered to shoot like professional videos. And all of my new covers I've been putting out are all shot on my iPhone, and they're just as
That's
good.
awesome.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
they're
that I noticed that. I was like, dude, really? That's on an iPhone? Dope. That's
thanks, man.
crazy. That
And,
yeah,
and
okay.
and it's anybody can do it, right? It's not like I mean, the main thing is just knowing how
Mhm.
and then playing with it enough until you get it just right.
Yeah.
So, I took my knowledge that I took years figuring out on my own and just turned it into a little course. And now I'm making that available, online, and people can, buy into it. And I was making it more expensive because I was like, oh, this is so valuable, like it should
Mhm.
be a couple $1,000s. I'm like, now I'm like, you know what, like let's just sell it as a course because I was doing it with like coaching and stuff like that
Mhm.
before. And so I'm switching over to just doing it for like, a course only version for like 497 bucks,
Hey, you
and
know,
that's like so affordable. I mean, you're going to pay way more than that just
yeah, dude.
buying one video, that.
Dude, yes. Like people, you know what happens is people get hung up on like the immediate price, but they don't understand like how much that can benefit. Like if you're in the
Yeah.
game, if you're constantly uploading, if you're creating, if you're creative and constantly out there, that price is very affordable
Yeah, it's
on the
nothing.
long term because you're going to get that back.
Yeah.
Just it's an investment for sure.
Yeah.
100%.
And, like, if you make good videos, what happened to me is gonna happen to you,
Yeah.
right? Other people are gonna be like, "Wow, that's a great video. Will you
Yep.
make me one? I will pay you, and you will make all this money back." I mean, even, like, with the course, I was able to get a student discount for my students for Adobe for the Adobe suite. So you get the whole thing for, like, 20
Nice.
bucks a month instead of 60, and that alone pays for the whole program, over the course of, like, a year.
That's like that's freaking phenomenal, dude.
Thanks,
That's
man. Yeah, so
phenomenal,
I'm
man.
I'm really excited about that. But like the whole point is like as you go through and you learn these skills, there's ways to leverage this that are going to benefit you and help other people. And
Mhm.
this is like comes to this is kind of brings me to one of the favorite things I've learned. One of my favorite things I've learned over the past couple of years is like you really don't want to focus on um helping other people, even though that's like I'm not saying that's bad. That's very important to do. If you focus on helping other people, you're not gonna become the person that actually helps them, and that's the problem. Like,
I feel that.
you have to be
Yeah.
the most helpful thing you can do is become an incredibly competent person that's crushing it. And then the people that you were trying to help before with sharing the right ideas and whatever, they're going to see that and they're going to naturally be like, wow, A, this is possible. And B, please help me do this. As opposed to you thinking you've got the right strategies and then being like, who the fuck are you? Because you haven't
Yeah.
actually done it, right?
Well,
Like
yeah,
the
you
most
have to
helpful
rock
thing
it
you can do
out.
is become a badass. It's
Yeah.
actually really cool.
Yeah, you have to, well, I mean, you have to lead by example, right? You like, how am I
Right.
going to help someone when I'm currently stuck? Like, you gotta lead by example, set the example, and hopefully others will emulate and follow, not copy,
Right.
but like pick up
Right.
on the breadcrumbs that you're leaving.
Totally. And the weird thing is that like I'm saying this as somebody who spent most of my life having a core moral, and I still have this as a core moral, is like you got to help people. Like your life is not just about you, right? It's
Yeah,
about helping other people. The thing that was hard for me to accept was that the the way that I can help the most people was by giving my best to myself.
yeah.
That was the best thing that I could do to help other people. Once I started really doing that, that was the thing that helped people way more than me sharing like, "Hey, here's this cool business idea. Here's this, way that I'm doing X, Y, and Z. Here's these different things I'm learning." It's just like, no, like just become the thing, and people will naturally gravitate toward that and start to become more like that.
Well, and I'll do it. I'll say this, like, I always put it as, I will jump out of the plane and hit every branch on the way down, and you can judge for yourself which branches are worth hitting and
Yep.
which branches are worth missing. That's kind of like, that's how we learn, but I get you. I get you. And that's it's important. It's very like, I don't want to say grown up because we're grown ups, but you know what I mean? It's like, that's a very mature way of thinking about it. Because I, it's hard out here when you just go out helping everyone, because there's less energy that you have on your own, and you're less, I guess, bandwidth to help you on your grind when you're just busy helping everyone. You want
Yeah.
to kind of sort of play a part in being the tide that rises all ships, and that comes with a lot of grind and a lot of kind of self-focused energy.
Yep.
That's 100% true, man.
Yeah,
100%
and we
true.
have we have limitations on how much we can do. And so if
Oh
you
yeah.
try to help everybody, you're always going to feel a sense of like, oh, well, this new person, I need to help them too. And you're going to spread yourself so thin that you don't end up actually really helping people
Yeah.
because you feel this compulsion to help everybody. And so
Yeah.
making sure you're meeting your own needs first and building yourself is the key thing. And then from there, creating scalable systems that actually create the opportunity for people to help themselves and then empowering them with the belief that they can do that.
Hmm.
Those become the most actually helpful things to do.
Yeah. It's interesting, man. It's interesting how, like, you got set off on this course and you're just like this snowball of experience. And I feel like that's what it is. It's like you decided to jump that, like, it's a big moment where you got to where you thought you were supposed to be, right? In college, in that on that grind, and you got to your Everest, and you're like, got to the summit, and you're meh. And that's not what anyone thinks is gonna happen. It's like, get there, and you're like, okay,
Yeah.
and then to completely kind of sort of shift and kind of just do you and thrive out there, and to lead up to now, it's a pretty awesome journey, man. Like,
Thanks, man.
it's you know how can you fit that much experience in that? It really isn't that many years if you think about it. I mean, it's a long time you've been on the grind, but man, that flies by when you're just focused. I feel like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I've been doing YouTube for 4 years. I can't believe it. One of my first videos, I had my son. He can't even speak in that video. Now he
Yeah.
doesn't. Now he's not quiet. I'm like, where did that even come from? Where did the time go? It's a whole.
Yeah.
It's not just time. It's like, for that, it's like it's a chapter of life that I was able to see like unfold. I was like, wow, we're on this chapter now. Never going back. And it's just kind of interesting to know that your journey and how many chapters you've had to change or turn, sorry, get into and evolve and adapt. and that is a huge thing to stay above water in this scene. Is you have to be flexible, highly adaptive, just laser focused,
Yeah.
and that's these key elements of success, especially to get some elbow room out here for sure, and to separate yourself. And
Yeah.
that's awesome, man. Like, not a lot of people are in your class. You know what I mean? Like,
Thanks, man.
I'm just saying, in this just music in general, man. You know, it's good to know that you are out there in the community and you're playing a part in rising the tide of the local music scene and beyond. That's a huge thing, because
Thanks,
a lot
man.
of people are just being fools out there, man. I'm not going to point
Yeah.
fingers. I'm not going to drop names at all, but they're out there being complete fools and just like, because a lot of people in my audience here, like, may not know what the DMV is. I call it the DMV all the
Yeah.
time. They're
Like
like,
a
the
DMV native
Department
does, you know?
Department of Motor Vehicles. No, 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 no.
Totally.
It's just the the craziest traffic you'll ever meet out there for real in this
Yep. Oh
area.
my god. Dude, I got cut off by somebody so bad today who just needed to take an exit from the left lane, and he was literally there was an overlap between him and my car, and he was
Yeah.
just coming over, and it didn't matter that I
Yeah.
was right there or was honking very loudly. It was gotta me it made me so mad.
It teaches you patience, or it
Yeah.
makes you tap into anger or rage. You learn how the
Yeah.
inner rage in traffic around here for sure. I'm
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate. I was able to escape like the DC traffic, the Beltway, and I got out to the outskirts. I was like, I'm okay now. I can live a lot
Yeah.
longer now. But
Yeah. That's the goal. That's the goal for us too, is to get a house. We're looking at eventually we wanna move to Montana for 6
okay,
months out of the year and have a place back in Maryland, for 6 months and just rent the
man,
spot that we live in DC. And these are, big goals, and we're, just trying to take the next steps to achieve them. And
you
it's gonna
gotta
take
have
some
them.
time, but yeah.
You gotta have the big goals. It's so important to have the big goals.
Oh,
To
yeah.
to if not, like, what are you even doing? You got to be working for goals. You got to
Yeah.
have, the short term goals, attainable goals, but you also have to have the big goals. Like,
Yep.
you gotta those go hand in hand with just
Yeah.
making it all worth it.
Totally. It's like, makes me think of that phrase, uh well, sorry, it's not a phrase, but it's like the idea of, like, the journey and the destination,
Mhm,
and, like, the way that those 2 are inextricably linked, like a yin and yang, right?
mhm.
Like, the the journey is what gives meaning to the destination, right? But the destination is what gives meaning to the journey. It's what contextualizes it,
Yeah,
and so you need both in order to truly experience, meaning on that path. Um, and I love that. I think it's a beautiful thing. And over time, like, your story changes, your goal changes, your destination changes, um, and that's part of that,
yeah,
journey. And then you recontextualize all of the things that have happened to now make sense in this new destination. And over time, those pieces fall more and more into place and make for a story that and an adventure that you never could have imagined, as long as you have the courage to choose to go on that adventure and follow it no matter where it leads.
yeah. No, facts, facts. I mean, you got to be flexible in your journey. The
Yeah.
destinations changes
Yep.
sometimes, and it's kind of like, in retrospect, thank God I didn't reach some of my destinations that I thought I
Yeah.
was headed towards. Like, Jesus, that'd be
Yeah.
terrible.
This is where I think, like, the destination is, like, it's always a moving target,
Hmm.
and it's kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of like the idea of, like, what does it mean to be a good person?
Yeah,
Like, you it's really hard to exactly define what that is. Even if you take a set of attributes, like, I don't know, you want to be a loving person. Well, what exactly is that? And what
yeah,
is that in every single situation that you could possibly imagine? And how do you know that you're being a good person, right? So you might have a current definition of what that looks like, and then over time you might realize that you're actually wrong. And so reality, the reality is that you're not really seeking after a particular destination, even though you might think of it that way. You're seeking after, like, a set of principles that guide your journey,
yeah,
and you want to be evolving those over time. And it's really more of like a placeholder for something than it is an actual specific thing. And this is where I think we have to adopt a position of humility, because we don't know exactly what that placeholder is. We'll never know, even if we figured it out perfectly.
Hmm.
We would never know that we had figured it out perfectly. And so we have to humble ourselves in relationship to that and seek after that, um, with the willingness to be wrong and to prioritize. This is why prioritizing truth is so important, because if you don't
Hmm.
prioritize truth, then you're not going to be
Yeah,
always growing toward that.
facts. That true. Yeah, 100%. I'm with you 100% on that, dude. Here's kind of a question about the music scene here. I'm trying
Yeah.
to get, because what my plan is for everyone watching, I want to react to one of your covers or songs on the
Oh,
channel.
sick. Yeah,
And
for
kind
sure.
of have like a twofer. I want to not just introduce people. I think it's very important. It's very
Yeah.
important to introduce people to the music behind the artist and then the artist. I think that's very, very important, because then you get who you are with what you do. And a
Yeah.
lot of times, that Venn diagram is almost like an eclipse. I I get that. I get that. But how would you describe our area's music? It's for me, it's been always been very difficult to like we're a melting pot of culture
Yeah.
here, of different
There's so much
cultures, different
stuff.
sounds. And it's really hard to nail down, but I love that our music scene is so eclectic, because
Yeah.
there's that leads to a lot less stepping on people's toes, if that makes sense.
Yeah, we're not all trying to do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I think my experience as a videographer in the music scene
Hmm.
gives me the most sort of visual, the most like of a picture into this question,
Hmm.
because I'm shooting for everybody, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, as long as they have, a budget, obviously. And I mean, sometimes I do shoot a lot of local shows for free. I try to do one at least one a quarter. Sometimes I do more than that. Um, but yeah, the way I see it, there's different pockets, right?
Yeah.
Different communities, and those communities are kind of dominated by particular styles of music. So, for example, in Baltimore, there's a couple of great promoters up there, that have been around for a while, and they book a lot of different shows at the main venues that are like independent venues in Baltimore.
Hmm.
So like Transcendent Events, Rapola Entertainment. Frank Everly is one of the other guys up there.
Okay.
I forget his company. I haven't really worked with him yet. Um, but these are promoters that really care about the scene and really try to do right by everybody. Um, and they book like Wrecker, as a venue. They book Metro Gallery, Baltimore Soundstage, Angels Rock Bar,
Gotcha.
places like that, and they put on these shows. They've got the relationships with the venue owners, where the venue owners will rent the venue to them at a discount, and then they can pay that back with ticket sales and all that kind of
Got
stuff.
it.
And then they find the
Okay.
bands, they know who sell tickets, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, that particular group of people, that's mostly like pop and rock and some indie type stuff.
Hmm.
There's also a massive like bluegrass Americana scene here, and I've connected with that scene over the past couple of years by shooting free video for my buddy John Way, who I met through my friend Connor, who's supported some of my events. And Connor's awesome. He's now shoots video for me. I've been training him up, and he's really crushing with that. And I just went and shot video for John for free because I didn't know how to do events, and I thought it'd be helpful to like let me just go offer something of value to somebody that's really good at this,
Hmm.
and maybe he'll give me some tips and like just build a relationship there, but no
Yeah.
like real expectation on that. And it worked great. John and I are now great friends, and he wants to support all the stuff that I'm doing. So I've got an album release show coming up, and he's trying to push to his whole community. And he runs a 4,000 person festival called Baygrass,
Okay.
down in at Sandy Point State Park. And this is only the second year of the festival, and it's at 4,000 people, right?
Wow.
And he
Wow.
works with a
Sandy
number of,
Point. Sandy
yeah.
Point has I my whole life I didn't know Sandy Point had stuff going there. I don't know. I
I
think
didn't
I
either.
was past Sandy Point to get to Ocean City.
Yep.
Like, just being completely transparent. Yeah, Sandy Point is the thing I see in the rear view.
Yep.
That's
Totally. My mom took me there on a couple of like field trips because I was homeschooled growing up
it.
with my brothers, and we went there for a couple of field trips to like draw things,
Yeah.
just with our family. And then that Meyer House Scholars program had, like an event there once or twice,
Wow.
during my time as at UMBC.
That's crazy. I didn't
So
know.
that's it. I
I
didn't
didn't
know it
know
did
they had, I
concerts,
didn't know they
and
had that.
yeah, I mean it's a massive thing too. So
Wow.
it's cool to do stuff for that. So
Yeah.
yeah, and that's really shown me how massive of a scene that is, and it's a whole community, right? Where there's all these great bands that are really talented, doing all this incredible music, and I would never have met all these people. I kind of assumed bluegrass is kind of like, yeah, I mean, it's happening, but it's not that big. But like, no, it's a massive scene,
It's a
right?
massive scene. It's like
Yeah,
cultish almost. Like, I'm sorry.
yeah,
Love it. I love it. I dig it. I dig all music, right? I just like you said, I never would have thought.
yep,
Facts though.
yeah.
Like,
And that's the crazy thing. I'm sure there's plenty of other communities that I just haven't really plugged into yet. Like there's a group I'm probably going to be shooting for called the Music Department. They run a studio here in the area, and they're doing a big battle of the bands. And I try to say yes to as much stuff as I can if it's community
mhm.
based and if it makes sense, even if there's just like a possibility for some, connection or something like that for me. It doesn't have to be paid all the time as long as there's enough of a possibility of,
Yeah.
good relationship and stuff like that that could be beneficial. Because I've really learned how much it matters to do that. And I've also found a way to make content quickly where it's not like I'm
Mhm.
investing 40 hours into something that maybe will pay off, where I feel like if it doesn't, I should have gotten paid and then I get cynical, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So, I've got some strategies for that, but um, yeah, I'm really excited to be involved with them, and they're probably a lot more plugged into like the hip hop scene. They've got some people that you know, or maybe gospel that type of stuff, and they've got some
Okay.
people that really go on tour and have played with some big names, and
Wow.
it's just crazy the kind of stuff that happens. Or like up at Wrecker, like I saw that Rapola Entertainment with Nick Ellison, they booked Red Jumpsuit Apparatus to come through. And I was like, "Oh, this
Wow.
is dope." So
Hey, I
nobody
remember them.
yeah, all the small things, right? That
Yeah.
song. I've covered that song so many times at, different shows with my buddy Brett, who runs the Part-Time Rockstar podcast around here.
Mhm.
It's a great song, and, like, I was like, "Man, I wanna film this band for free because that'll give me more credibility, a major
Yeah.
band I filmed," right? So I go up and shoot it for free, and I shoot all the other bands too, and then I just offer it to the other bands like, "Hey, if you guys wanna buy the video, it's $150."
Yep.
And I've already shot and edited the video before the set is over, so I can show them the whole video right then in the moment. It's synced
Oh,
to their
that's
music and
cool.
everything.
Wow. That's like instant turnaround.
Yeah.
Wow. Nice.
Thanks, man.
Nice.
Yeah, and nobody else does that, right? And so it is that wow factor. It typically takes them about 10 seconds to realize what happened, and that really blows their mind, and it's really awesome.
Yeah.
And
They're like,
sometimes they
"Wait,
buy it,
what?"
sometimes they
Like,
don't,
"Oh,
but
yeah, it's done. Here it is." Like,
right.
"Holy
Yeah,
shit."
I can airdrop it to you right now.
Wow.
Um,
That's phenomenal, dude.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's really been helpful, and that and because what I'll do is I'll shoot on my nice camera and I'll transfer the footage to my phone and use my phone to edit. And
Mhm.
it's all about streamlining the workflow. And I've figured out like what did I need to eliminate and how do I need to shoot such that I can get something that quick that's not sacrificing quality at all.
Yeah.
Um, and that's worked really well. And that way I can make all these videos. I'll make 5 videos, one for each band, and an overall highlight reel of the night before the night's over. And like it doesn't matter to me if anybody buys one because I got to be there, be part of the community, and shoot for a jumpsuit apparatus, right?
That's
So
so sweet, man. That's so sweet, dude.
dude,
That's so cool. It's just I remember, yeah, I remember red jumpsuit apparatus was like everywhere at one point. Like I
yeah,
just
man.
I yeah, I remember that. That's just like, damn, that's so
Yeah.
cool. Anyway, that's
Yes,
it's
it
sick.
was it's cool. And this is where like it really works out well, where I feel like I'm really lucky. And I feel like it's paid off to try to focus on how do I build the life that I want as opposed to how do I just prioritize like, I don't know, making money or making choices that minimize risk, you know.
Hmm. Yeah.
I've really like I've worked hard to not say yes to every opportunity just because there's money involved or because it seems cool or like I don't do cover shows, for example, because that's not where I want to end up, right? But I also don't
Yeah.
do corporate videos because it's going to take all my time, right? I don't typically do story-based music videos because that's going to take all my time, right? Unless it's a lot of money that makes it worth it for that amount of time. But, and if that happens, then sure. Like there's a
But
guy right now that's interested in, booking me to do like a 3 video, series, and they'd be pretty involved. And so they'd be like, I mean, who knows if this will happen? So this is probably not going to happen.
gotcha.
Um, but if it happens, it'd be like $20,000
Yeah.
per video,
Well, well, but
which is like
it's
crazy.
time in. It's time in though. You know what I
Well,
mean?
that's
It's
the thing.
like
And
it's
that opportunity makes sense if it happens.
yeah.
But in most cases, it's not really worth it to me, and so I try to focus just on the stuff that makes sense, and that creates the opportunity where, now I need to solve particular problems. Like, for me, I was like, "Okay, how can I make $1,000 a day?" And the answer is deliver way more than $1,000 of value. And so that was how I started thinking, "Okay, how do I do this?" And it was like,
Yeah.
I gotta streamline the workflow so I can create something awesome that's worth a lot of money in basically no time.
Yeah.
So that means minimizing editing and or making it such that there's no editing. So I
Yeah.
shoot a lot of one-take videos, and then I shoot highlight reels with where every single clip I use, no matter what part of it, everything looks great. So I'm shooting like 2 to 3 second clips of different angles, but the whole 2 to 3 seconds is perfect, right? There's
Yeah.
no bad footage I have to edit out. And then it's just organizing the clips in the right order on my phone and cutting to the beat, and that's it.
Yeah. That's
So
cool,
it's
man.
it's very fast.
It's you got effective.
Yeah,
You trimmed the fat away from your process, which
yeah,
is it saves you time. Time is money. So
yeah,
that's what it is. Um Jumping into people you've worked with, right? Cuz listen, when we go to your channel, we see the covers and the artists. Like how do you choose? How do your features come along on your channel? Do you select them? Do they ask you? Like how does that go? Because like listen, if right from here, people are gonna see your reaction or my reaction video to your songs and then go to your channel. Like, and I feel like that's a good question to ask is
yeah.
how do you who do you choose how do you choose? What's your selection process to get people to feature on your covers?
Well, it's interesting that you asked this question because it's actually changed, and I feel like I've grown as a person.
Mhm.
Um, and this is part of why it's part of why there's actually more features. So I used to choose based off of what I thought would give me the most benefit as an artist.
Mhm.
Was this a smart feature? Was this something where this person had like an audience where it felt like it was, worth it to do the collaboration? Or I would think about like, well, what is my image going to look like if I collaborate with this person? And so what that ended up with was not a whole lot of people that I was collaborating with. And also like honestly, and this is I think to my a little bit to my shame, a lot of just like judgment of other artists and a little bit of elitism on my part that wasn't really healthy and
Mhm.
definitely wasn't helping me.
Yeah.
And ended up just meaning I wasn't releasing as much content too.
Yeah.
So overall, it was a big negative, and everything really got way better when I stopped caring about like, oh, is this person gonna, is this gonna be a bad look for me if I collaborate with this person, or, is this gonna benefit me? Is this the most strategic thing? I just stopped caring about that, and it was like, you know what? I just want to make stuff and enjoy collaborating and creating with people,
Yeah.
and I'm just gonna, if there's smart decisions I can make, sure. Like when I was talking with Pat Rennie, who I featured recently,
Mhm.
I was definitely excited about the fact that like he's got fans that he draws to his shows,
Mhm.
and I know he's going to promote because he works hard to do that, and that was a great benefit. Um, but also like I just wanted to be collaborating with other people that were making effort in the scene,
Yeah.
and I knew that we could create something good together, if we put in the effort, and we did, and it was awesome.
Yeah, no, listen, you first and foremost, the well, that cover,
Yeah, yeah.
phenomenal. I really enjoyed that, man.
Oh, sick,
Fucking that was
man.
awesome. Um,
Thank you.
and it's funny you say that though. It's just see, I love that because you can see your growth and really in video form, like with the history of the videos on your channel, and then how you've like adapted, overcome, and grown. You know, that's a huge thing, and I feel like that's another reason I do love this platform. Is like because you have these segments, these like marks, and you hit. Maybe other people won't know it, but you know it. You're like, oh,
Yeah,
during this time, during this video,
yeah,
yeah, that was a different me. But now look, it's and you can see you're supposed to be able to see growth.
yeah,
I think in a perfect world. Um,
totally. And it's led to way more content, and honestly, like a way better life. Like
yeah.
I've had a couple shifts in mindset that were really big over the past couple years.
Hmm.
The first one was I stopped thinking of my music as like, oh, I'm taking this really professionally or it's really seriously.
Hmm.
I started thinking of my video production as my work and my music as my hobby. Not because I take it less seriously or do it less or spend less money on it or whatever, or have less desire to be successful or anything like that. Literally, the only reason I did it was because I was attaching unhealthy feelings of identity to it. And
Okay.
it was really, and ideas of like, well, I have to be financially successful if this is going to be my professional thing. And all those things were getting in the way of me making good art, which, and actually being successful in creating the things I needed to do to become successful. So ironically, I think my art is better. I'm making more, and I have better odds of being successful now that I'm not trying to make it like a professional career. I'm simply thinking, how do I make it the best I can, and how do I
Yeah.
enjoy it the most, and collaborate with the most people and enjoy that process, and not
Like, how
worry
can
about
it be?
exactly how it's going to come out.
Like, how can it be? How can it be fulfilling for not just you, like a symbiotic fulfillment almost?
Yeah,
Um, but I feel like once you take it off that pedestal, let's say, and you focus like your your product isn't, I wouldn't say isn't music anymore, right? And that because when you take that off the pedestal, I feel like maybe that leaves you don't have that competition, like the competitiveness. You have more cohesion with the local scene. You know, because I feel like when it's a business, it's like
yeah.
you have to be competitive. You got to know, you got to do things like legs up, things that, you know, I feel like as a business, that's what you have to think of.
Yeah, well, as a business, you're mainly thinking, "I wanna be making money and not losing money," and so you focus on the wrong things.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
really hard to make you can make money as an artist, but there's a right way to do it and there's a wrong way to do it.
Yeah.
And by that, I mean, I'm not trying to judge exactly how people do things. I think that, if you feel like you need to charge for everything you do, like that's understandable, do your thing. But I think there's a more effective way to do things. Instead of trying to focus on monetizing everything you possibly can, you focus on what are you really giving,
Yeah.
and are you really creating a community around your music and with other people that are in the scene, and going out. That means like going out and supporting other people's stuff,
Yeah.
sharing other people's stuff, not seeing it as a competition, seeing it as, because somebody else's success is never going to take away from your success.
No.
Like the,
No.
it's only going to make your scene look better if somebody big gets out of your scene, right?
Yeah.
And so if especially like one of the things that I've thought about is like if I'm collaborating with a bunch of people and somebody blows up, if I've collaborated with all the people that might blow up around here, I might blow up. Like
Yeah.
it's a big win, right? Or if I blow up, then all these other people will get shit tons of views on them, right? And get a
Yeah.
lot of attention to their stuff.
It's a
And that's probably
win-win.
going to end up with them asking to me to film a lot more videos for them, right? And that's a win for me, right? And a win for them. Like it's everything is a win-win when you really focus on when you
Building
stop
community.
focusing on the money aspect of
Yeah.
like, what am I getting paid up front for sure? You
Yeah.
focus on what's the coolest thing I can do, what is the most exciting thing I can do to create. And if you're trying to look at the business stuff, you have to look at the actual problems that are there. Like the main
Yeah.
problem I've identified in this area is that people can't get quality videos for like 250 bucks, right? And so that's the problem that I solved. So I created this event series called Amplify, and this is how I met Spencer,
Hmm.
um, where I rent a studio for the day and I give artists 45-minute slots to come in and record professional videos where I do up all the lighting. Looks just as good as all my covers. We do pro studio audio and it's a 45-minute slot. So they can do one video for 250 bucks. It includes audio costs and everything. It's a one take video. So it's easy for me to edit. So I'm not spending tons of time on the back end. And they can come in and get one of those videos. And if we have 4 people in a day, I'll make
Yeah.
$1,000 minus studio costs. And
Yeah.
that's amazing, right? And what happens is we end up getting like 6, sometimes 8 people per day. Most people do more than one song, and that ends up being, instead of 250 bucks for an hour, it's 400 bucks for the hour, right?
Yep.
Or if it's a band, it's 500 for the first song, 400 for additional. And so we'll end up with sometimes a couple $1,000s in
Yeah.
revenue for one day, but it's like actually it's giving artists what they need at the quality that they need that they can't get anywhere else.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, to 100%. But I like that. For me, my first time looking at, let's say someone's channel, like an artist I'm not too familiar with, like I go to their channel and I see other featured artists on it. I think I already have this like, hell yeah, that's awesome. I think it's awesome when you see this artist collaborating with another artist. It just means that scene, that cohesion is there.
Yeah.
And I
Totally.
feel like everyone that's collaborating together isn't elitist, isn't pretentious, because elitist and pretentious don't do that. They don't
Yeah.
do that. It's only them focused but when I see other names featured, different shout outs of different, and that's a healthy community. And
Yeah.
that's, you have to fit into your community, the community, whatever it
Yep.
is. And it's just a big benefit. And it was just like I said, I think I'm going to reiterate this. It's good to have you in the local scene, and I know soon you'll be in a bigger scene, right? And this is
We'll see.
we're
Hopefully.
working on that tide that rises all both of our boats. I'm just kidding,
Yeah.
but
I mean, this is definitely where like I'm excited to be part of the industry in this area
yeah,
because I think even like my goal was not to try to like build up the industry when I first started Amplify. But that's really helped, I think, to build connectivity and relationships because we work with so many of the studios and a lot of these artists have never been to more than one studio.
yeah,
And so they're kind of going around everything. But we also have this, impact of like everybody's now most people that are serious about getting any type of quality content have really high quality content and they can do it regularly. And they are doing it regularly, at least quarterly, with Amplify or sometimes
mhm,
doing other stuff, but there's just basically shit tons of high quality content that's coming out of the area now.
yeah,
And because it's more affordable. And it's also meaning that there's a lot more content where the studios are tagged. And so there's a really cool impact that's happening. And whether or not I stay in the area, long term in a significant way where I'm living here, which I do plan to, right? Like I don't
mhm,
really right now want to move to like Nashville or LA. I am making trips and building connections in Nashville right now, which is exciting. But I love the idea of being able to really make and contribute to the core foundational elements of what make this scene successful and training up other people to
yeah.
become good at these things,
You have to worry, not worry, sorry, you have to think about the legacy, right? You have to think
Yeah.
about what you're leaving behind for sure. um Now, getting to your music, brother.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a couple more little questions here. What? Because I have to, right? Let's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
get to a question. What has been your most memorable live performance and why?
Oh man. I mean, the first one that comes to my mind is the Wrecker in January of I think it was either last year or the year before. I think it was the year before
Mhm.
last year. And the reason that this was so memorable was because this was our biggest show. I sold the most tickets. I sold like 100 tickets. And we were trying like different promotional methods to get lots of
Mhm.
people out. And so I had gotten all the bands to buy into this promo package where we would all get photos and videos. We'd split a photographer and a videographer basically. And I would shoot some of the promo stuff for the other bands to keep some of the costs down. And then we would also buy like a bunch of alcohol that we'd give to people for free if they came to the pre-show party,
Okay.
which was before the first band went on. And we just walked around outside of Wrecker and looked at different spots and walked in and we're like, hey, could we do like a little pre-show party thing here? And the tattoo parlor said yes.
That's
Um,
awesome.
yeah, it was amazing. And so people came in, we gave them 2 free drinks before the show, and we ended up having like 350 people that came out between 5 bands, which was awesome. And I'd never played to that big of a crowd. I never
Wow.
had that big of a success from an idea that I'd had, and that my show went really well too. Like I just felt like it was a great show. We got amazing content from it. Um, and it was a massive success. And one of the biggest things about that was that, like, the first band only sold probably 35 tickets, but they had about 150 people in the audience. And that's never the case at these events.
No.
And it worked because we gave people free alcohol if they
Hey,
came early, and
yes.
then they just went over for the first band, right? Now the downside of this was that, like, I played last, so people were leaving by that time because they were tired of being on their feet. That was a bummer, but
Yeah.
it was still such a win overall that it was a huge success for me.
It's cool because you were part of that moment for them too. Because
Yeah,
it was a good show, and they associate your name, your face with a good time, and
yeah,
that's important. You
yep,
know, like, hey, I remember that guy. Like, hell yeah. Like
yeah.
that's cool, man. Making those memories. I like that.
Yeah,
I
and all the
really
bands, like, that was the first time it was like my whole idea to do all this stuff. And so it gained me a lot of respect with the bands and with the promoter, right? Because I was doing something that actually did provide value to the scene, and
yeah.
that brought a lot of meaning to me, right? And so since then I've worked on how do I do this type of thing, but make it so it's more successful. And so I
Okay.
figured out a way to, like, be able to sell the alcohol at shows, for example,
Okay.
legally.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
that's
No, I
obviously
got,
big,
yeah. For everyone
um,
listening, legally,
right?
legally.
But basically, and I love sharing this because I think this is an important thing if you want to try to build events. If you have a nonprofit that either you run or you're partnering with, that nonprofit can get a single day liquor license. And so if you have an event at a venue that doesn't have a bar, that's the key thing. This could be a backyard, right? Or it could be, like a local arts club or something like that. Um, or honestly, like just a random warehouse that's empty that you can rent.
Hmm.
If you can do that, you can sell alcohol. The licenses are typically like $35 to pay for, and you can get the alcohol donated from local breweries or Tito's. Tito's
Wow.
got the donation form online, and they donate. They gave me like 30 bottles of vodka.
Holy crap. I mean,
Yeah,
that sounds like a lot for
it
just
is.
two
It's
dudes
it's a
talking, but
ton.
that's a lot, dude.
It's so much vodka, right? Um, and you can easily buy, stuff at bulk from a distributor, or even just a store for, like, it ends up being like $1 or 2 per can. And if you sell it for $7, like, you're making
There you
money
go.
off of
Yeah.
that.
Just gotta
And
get
so,
that Red Bull sponsorship too, and then that you
right?
can just like, hey, let's just mix it up. It's a
Yep.
mixer event.
And the big thing is, like, just ask, like, try to reach
Yeah.
out, just look for emails, ask who the person to talk to is. If you see a phone number, call that phone number and ask them, like, hey, I'm looking for sponsorship. Do you guys, or do you guys, support nonprofits and stuff like that? The nonprofit is really the key, because anything
Yeah.
outside of that, you really got to have a lot of cred for
Pull.
them to
Yeah, you
be.
gotta have a
Mhm.
lot of pull for sure.
Yep.
Um, all right. So my last out of the box question, man. All right, here we go. Because I had to throw one at you. All
Yeah,
right.
hit me.
All right. If aliens were to land in DC right now and you had to play one song for them to save us all, what would it be and why?
Oh man. I mean, if one of my songs,
Yeah, any song, including yours.
yeah, yeah. I mean, If I were to play one of my songs, it probably be this one that's not released yet. It's called Rainbow Color Magic. It's going to
Okay.
come out this next year after my album is released in May. So probably like summer.
Okay.
And it's like a 1975 style song
That's
with a
sweet.
lot of like Peter Gabriel type world beats
All
and
right.
sax solos and guitar solos, stuff like that. So that's probably what I would play.
Hell yeah.
And hopefully they like
Yeah.
rainbows. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. Hopefully, fingers crossed, man. But hey, also on that note, let me know when that drops, and I'll have it on the channel.
Oh, sick.
I'll share it.
Thanks, man.
Um,
Yeah, my album is I'm trying to drop it on the release show date, which is May 3rd.
okay.
So whether or not it'll be on streaming platforms that day is a question. I'll definitely have a version that I'll have available at the show in CD format. Um, but I've got to get the whole thing mastered. Most of it's like completely done, but I've got like 2 songs that I'm still tweaking, and I
Gotcha.
should have those done by the end of the week. But then I got to get them, mixed and then mastered and then sent for
Yep.
duplication with CDs and then submitted 6 weeks ahead of time for Spotify. Blah blah. I mean, you probably know the deal.
Yeah, it's not an overnight thing. Not
Yep.
an overnight thing. But no man, listen, that's awesome. That's awesome. Is there anything else that you would like to tell our little audience here, man? Um anything else that I possibly have missed? Any I know you have a lot of big things happening this year. And yeah, man, let me know. Let me know. And by the way, if you ever want to come back on, all you have to do is hit me up and we're here
Oh,
again.
sick. Yeah, that'd be
Use
great,
this
man.
as your community board. If you have anything you want to talk about, anything happening, anything big, let me know. I'll either share it or we can just have another one of these talks.
Oh, it'd be sick, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
there's a couple things I think it'd be fun to chat about. The first is the show coming up on May
Mhm.
3rd. I'm really excited about this show for a lot of reasons. I'll get into those in a second. And the second is the sci-fi series that I've got going on for my album. So I
Okay.
don't know if you've seen any of that yet. It's kind of hidden on my YouTube page because most of what I'm featuring right now is the newer stuff, which is the
Yeah.
covers. But I'm going to be getting back into that this year.
Okay.
Or
Please elaborate. What?
yeah,
Because
yeah, yeah.
I think yes, I saw the new stuff and I went way back. Fill me in on the what? I'm
Yeah,
here
yeah.
for it.
So with my album, I'm building a short film series to go
Okay.
along. It's like music videos for my album. And
Okay.
so it walks people through the whole kind of general storyline of the album with a cohesive, episode 1, episode 2, chapters I call them.
Mhm.
And each one leads into the next. There's like dramatic cut scenes at the beginning and end of each one, and the narrative plays through. So it's going to be like probably somewhere around an hour in full length by the time it's done, because it's going to be 12 little episodes. I've done 3 so far, and I got into a lot of debt over the last couple of years, and so I haven't I haven't done anything on these. Um, but the process basically walks through my transformation from who I was before when I was, like early 20s, the loss of that entire identity and the rebirth into a new person
Mhm.
of, finding hope after kind of all of your contextualization for who I was gone. And that was
Yeah.
tied up in my family, in the way I believed in God and all that kind of stuff. And, going through the stages of grief of that whole process and coming out on the other end, hoping and believing in something more
Yeah.
after that process. And so the sci-fi series walks through the stages of grief. It visualizes and brings in symbolism of trauma, of, working with your inner child and what that process is like, as well as, just a lot of fun sci-fi visual effects, some laser
Yeah.
blasts, weird, crazy skies, planets in the skies, like crazy,
That's
weird zombie eyes and stuff like that. So
oh yeah. Dude,
lots of fun stuff.
that I like that though. For me that's huge because I feel like that again, I see it's good to have journeys
Yeah.
on these platforms. Is to have journeys, finish a journey, get to the next journey, but to walk people through a journey, it's just different than just dropping something, boom. But to have it be part of something makes the whole experience bigger. It builds. I
Yeah.
love that. That's good. Hey, Hell yeah. I'm going to go back through all your shit and just with a fine tooth comb, just letting you know.
Thanks,
I won't
man.
blow into your stuff up with comments. But
Oh, dude, that'll be sick. Yeah, there's a nice little playlist of the songs on the album. When the Sky Began to Fall is the name of the album,
mhm,
which is a nice little transition into the May 3rd show. And so this
mhm,
show, I'm going to be playing most of the songs from the album. There's a couple I don't have time for because it's a 45-minute slot. But I'm doing a lot of work here to really pull out all the stops with the visuals. So the program I mentioned earlier, teaching where you can create visuals that are synced up to your audio, I'm
mhm.
going to be using that for the first time at this show. I've got it synced up to some basic stuff right now. I'm just learning how to use it. There's free tutorials on YouTube that teach you everything about this program. But,
Yeah,
I can have like the kick drum mic coming in and triggering like for Rainbow Color Magic, there'll be a rainbow sort of ghost version of me that'll follow me on screen, for example. Because I can
cool.
have a camera set up that will film me and the band, and it can create these RGB splits of the image, which creates like a delayed ghost version that looks like a rainbow that'll follow me, right? Which is
What?
crazy, right? And so you can
Crazy.
display that on the screen, and you can take that and you can turn that camera around at the audience and have like a moment in the middle of the show where, I don't know, maybe you create that dance circle where like people come in and like do their moves and you film them and they're displayed in the screen, right?
That's
And
cool.
so
Yeah.
everybody's seeing this and it's involving the audience in a unique way, right? So stuff like that, that's one of the particular things I want to do for Rainbow Color Magic is that. And we'll have
Awesome.
some, special dance moves that we all do as a band on stage and do that together. But we're trying to create specific moments that emphasize the messaging of the songs and the journey of the album. And so that's
Mhm.
one of them. There's other stuff I want to do with I've got this like massive theater spotlight that, you would see like in a theater,
Yep.
right, where like plays happen. And it's really bright. And I got these mirrors. I actually have them. I could probably show you right here. If I go over this way, this is my laundry room. But if
Nice.
you look up here, where is it? Here it is. So I've got these
Oh,
mirrors
Jesus.
here.
Okay.
They're like very basic that I've kind of built here. They're just stuck on with Velcro, so they're not exactly straight. But by leveraging a haze machine, which I got at an auction, I can haze up the whole space and then use this gigantic spotlight to reflect light off of these mirrors. So I can
So
create
like
like
a beam,
a
like a
beam that like goes around, right? So that's
like from the mummy, like that thing?
yeah, exactly. It'd be something like that, right? All the little reflectors.
Yeah.
So, creating that is one of the big things I want to do. I'm going to see if I can create sort of like a big sort of central fixture that would be more like a lighthouse
Okay.
where like the light shines up from the bottom and hits all these mirrors to like send it out.
That'd be sweet.
So there's things like that I'm
Yeah.
trying to do. And just have something. I'm probably going to create like maybe 4 or 5 of these sort of moments that are really special throughout. Um, that just add that, "Holy shit, I didn't expect anybody to do that at this show.
Yeah.
Who the fuck is this band?" Right? What is happening right now? And that's gonna make people really remember us and get the word going. And then of course, we're gonna film the whole thing.
Yeah.
And so, maybe we can use this for all sorts of viral content, hopefully. Who knows? But, like,
Ho Of course you will. Of course you will. Like,
that's
of
the goal,
course you'll be able to use it. That'd be terrible. That'd be a gut punch, like, "No, we can't use any of it." Like,
right?
"Oh, like,
So, I mean,
shit."
this is where, like, I'm not trying to make viral content right now.
Mhm.
Um, not that I don't wanna make it at all, or that it wouldn't be smart, right, to use YouTube or any of these platforms. Um, but I don't want to focus on making viral content for its own sake. I want to be
Yeah,
making cool shit
and
that
have it go viral.
and have it go viral because
Yeah,
I'm trying to
yeah,
do the coolest possible thing that I can figure out how to do. And it's just fun. It's just enjoyable. It's not like, "Oh, I have to do this in order to be successful so I can figure out how to monetize it so I can make money so I can be full time as an artist." It's like, no, like
yeah,
I've got a great life right now that's making all this stuff work, leveraging the video production, which I enjoy. I like being an entrepreneur. I like doing all that stuff. Um, and then also using that to create the coolest shit that I can,
yeah.
and then, who knows where that'll go. And I think that's the best way, especially for me, but I think that's the best way for artists to try to do it. I actually actively recommend to artists, You should learn how to do video production because this is the #1 thing that'll give you connections. If you
Yeah,
want people to like you, if you want them to give you opportunities, you need to have something really valuable to give to them.
love that. Yep.
And the bar is way lower on creating good quality video content than you think it is, and everybody needs that.
Hmm. I like that. Yep. I mean, dude, yeah. I I'll say this, man. I feel like we have a lot more that we can talk about and we need to talk about.
Yeah.
But I feel like that would fill up everyone's rest of their life. You know,
Yeah.
but
True that.
it's like I could talk forever. That's my downfall. At least my wife tells me that's my downfall. Like you never shut up. It's like my son's takes after me. Um, bro, listen. Honestly, thanks again for this time. As you get new things coming, as you get things, think of us here as your springboard to advertise stuff for, man. Like I'm here for the not cross promotion is the wrong word, but like whatever you need, let me know. I'll help. You know,
Thanks,
that's
man. I really appreciate that.
I'm so looking forward to these things that you're telling me. Like they're freaking like yeah, like you said, people are gonna leave that shit like, what the fuck was that? Like
That's the
that was,
goal.
like holy shit. Like that's like you said, that's the goal. That's everyone knows at least one or two shows that they've been to that they've walked away from. And you know what? They've never forgotten that show.
Yeah.
Like I have a couple of those shows in my life where I've been like, damn, that was good. You
Yeah.
know? And, I love that though. You're pushing the envelope, doing something different, and it's gonna pay dividends. Like it's just gonna make that moment memorable. And you're gonna reside in people's moment, which is very important. You
Thanks,
know,
man.
um, super proud of you, man. Super proud of you. Super pumped to see you on the grind, not just as an entrepreneur, but also as a musician. Just doing the shit that honestly would hurt my mind trying to do. Just I couldn't. I thought I had a lot of irons in the fire. No, man, your plates are overflowing. But definitely proud to have you in this scene, to have you in the state, to be like, hey, listen, man, this is when you go big. I'm like, hey, he's from the DMV. Don't lie to nobody. I know where you came from. cut from the same beltway, you know.
That's right.
So
Thanks, man.
his
That really means
patience
a
and
lot.
anger tolerance are higher than most.
That's right, because I had to deal with all the crazy traffic. I
Yeah,
have actually been trying actively to care less about that, and to
yeah.
use it as an opportunity to become more patient and
Jesus,
to, not give in to anger.
that's dude, that's a master class though. Like our traffic here is like you're pro level, pro
Yeah.
level. Oh man, but listen again. Thank you so much for your time and just hopping on this little. I still don't know what to call these because people. I tell my people, I'm like, it's not an interview. I'm pretty sure I asked like one or two questions. I'm not even sure, but it's a
It's
talk.
just
It's a
yeah,
talk,
conversation.
and
Yeah,
now we're here at the end, and it
yeah,
has not felt like an hour.
yeah, totally.
But listen, guys, make sure you check out the links in the description. Go support my boy here. He is on the bigger movements right now, and I love that. Make sure you stay tuned to things that are happening over in his sphere, and we will make sure those things are reiterated on our channel. And I will let you know when things happen. That way, you can go over to LJR, right? And and the links also. I will pin your channel on the top of the comments since people don't know where to look. And yeah, man. Again, thanks again. Thanks again for hopping on the channel.
Thanks for having me, Daniel. This has been
Yeah, man.
awesome. Really enjoyed talking with you.
Yeah, man. Make sure you unplug, do something legendary, and we'll see you in the next video. Later, guys.